Hello, Lego lovers. This is L, and this is a mock, or my own creation, custom Lego, etc. So I've heard of a thing called SHIPtember, as in ship, like spaceship. Um, and I decided for September I wanted to make a Lego Starfighter spaceship, etc. type thing. So this is what I came up with. The initial concept, well, there wasn't really a concept, but the color combination and what's inside and stuff was based on my best friend. She kind of picked the color scheme, and it's the same as my BFF house, duplex, I should say, the purple and black. She said that there has to be room for her doggie, so I made sure that is. And later on, I actually made room for her husband to be in there. So, like I said, I guess SHIPtember is something where normally I think people build like really, really big spaceships, but I just like, hey, build a spaceship is fine. This is my creation. So let's kind of get into it. I'm probably not good at showing off mocks, but let's take a look. So this is the front, and I'm going to try and zoom in a little bit here. So on the top, we kind of have like an old classic almost look for an engine. I use these exhaust pieces just to kind of add some detailing and like extra exhaust going on here. And then just kind of made the plating kind of on top a little ramshackle because I figured there's modifications up there like crazy. I believe we decided on naming it the Violet Butterfly is the name of the ship. So I used a mix of purple and some black in there. I'll zoom out a little bit here, and as you can see the front exhaust, we can see some detail, and if you'll notice, some of this is black. I kind of figured that's damage or maybe smoke exhaust coming out from this side, like something's not working too right there. I imagine maybe a laser bolt got hit there, and also that's kind of why I made this one tile that kind of corner and kind of busted it up a little bit. But as you can see, this is the front. These are actually wheel guards, both sides. I wanted to try to go as studless as I could. And I'm pretty happy with how the front kind of turned out. My only probably issue is that I feel it kind of turned out a little big. And as you can see, I used 2 curved slopes, and they're not unfortunately connected, so there's kind of some space you can kind of see along there. But I wanted to make it fairly smooth, and I did detail out the bottom, so you can see it there, and I have a really janky system for a stand, as you can see. But, yep, parts are going to fall off, because that's one thing I noticed. This is my first time really, well, it's my second time, like, building a larger spaceship, so I have no idea what I'm doing. I never said I was a mock expert, but I can't put pieces together. But I'll put that back on later. So, and here is our side view. Now I kind of went with an X-Wing weird modified type look to it. So you can see we have weapons and kind of like almost wings. Also on the sides to give it a little more detail. We'll see if we can't zoom in on these weapons on the wings here. Probably too far in there. So the bottom wing here, I have some missile type rack, some targeting equipment there, and then just some kind of detail. On the top wing, we just got some sensors and a little more detail. And there's a little bit more heavier guns up here. We'll be able to take a better look when I kind of put it in combat mode too, and you can see 2 kind of lasers going off the side there, some tiling detail on the sides, and each side is identical, just, reversed effectively. So I'll zoom out a little bit, and then we'll kind of look at the top here. We have a turret for defense, and I did make it so it can move. a bit and pose, so you can shoot at some different angles, hopefully not your own ship. I am actually pretty happy how that actually turned out looking. It's not as bulky and sticking out on the top as much. And I would say this formation of the wings and such is more of like your acceleration, speed, hyperspace type dealio going on there. I like adding the detail up here. I like that I added these fairings up there. I think those turned out pretty cool. And again, as usual, drop some comments and opinions here. And as I drop it, let's just pick it up here. You can see that I added some other kind of details there. And if you can't really tell from this view, it'll be better in the combat view. But this extra engine on the side is actually on ball joints because I kind of want it to be able to be movable so that you can use it for different maneuvers, etc., etc. And I'm really happy how it turned out and the coloring here. You have to let me know what you think. I added some tiles last minute because I wanted to kind of add some detail and break it up. The sides under here is kind of interesting. It's probably the most open kind of wiring cable area I added detail for. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go and put it in combat mode because I think that'll allow us to see it a lot better. And as you can see, I used those kind of big ratchet joints, and that's how I have the wings that they can move and be put in that formation. So I'm going to do that, and then I will come back and we'll take a look at it. All right, here we have it in combat mode. So as you can see, the wings come down. They can actually spread out a little bit more if I so choose. But this is kind of my standard angling there, so you can kind of see the X-wing type look that we got there. Pretty happy that I was able to get it to work and not immediately have the wings fall off. They are kind of fragilely on there, unfortunately, which is a little bit unfortunate. But here we can kind of look in there, and I can have added some detail, and you can kind of see how it's on like a super ball joint. And the concept is that, as I imagine those as advanced maneuvering thrusters, so that you can, get some extra turning or extra whatever you might need there. As I'm trying to move this, I'm hoping it doesn't just fall apart. Zoom out a little bit. So you can see that extra thruster there, and this is actually on a ball joint too. So you can do some extra maneuvering if you want. And then as you can see, like these kind of windshield pieces can open up. Kind of imagine, the rockets can really flare out and go really fast if you so choose. So you can kind of see how they are built, and I added the extra thrust with the crystal and transparent cones there. I do like how smooth it kind of ended up. It does use those big thruster pieces, and I'm completely okay with that. Maybe I should have put tiling up there, but I'm not sure if that would have prevented this from really coming down. I think it would have, but as you can see, I really am happy with kind of how that turned out, and I'm nice that I got it kind of flattened, extra armor. The concept of this ship is heavily armored, and here you can see a little bit closer on that turret, and you can see our doggy friend in there, who is actually operating the turret. Now, it is a little bit more kind of restricted on how you can shoot when the wings go in that combat mode, but you can shoot through the back or the front, and for all intensive purposes, this turret can come off. And when we take a closer look at the cockpit area, I will go into that. The other thing with these wings is these are actually really heavy, so they kind of hang down, unfortunately. But you can see how I have the missile and the targeting kind of detail there. And then this, we kind of have some more detailing down there. Heavy cannon. I really like how it looks with lots of firepower, and is definitely heavily armored. Let me know what you think, how you like it. The other thing that I kind of was playing around with is these can actually, because I have so many ball joints on them, and I always like that in Lego sets inherently, you can kind of, put them however you want. So, maybe it needs some side thrust or, whatnot. But then the other thing that I kind of didn't think about at first was you can actually turn them around, and if you want, imagine them to be like guns. So, and I realized this kind of right when I was almost done with it. So it's like you can imagine it's got some added firepower or something, and you can turn those sideways so that they're more like armored looking, and you can imagine that you have an extra set of guns going crazy towards the front, and it actually works and doesn't look too bad. So I actually think that's pretty cool. And of course, they extend out. It's almost like it has mech arms, actually, is one thing that I kind of realized. And unfortunately, like I said, this is kind of fragile. One day I want to be a little bit better of a builder or maybe video taker. But yeah, so the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look inside the cockpit, and then that will be the final kind of showing of this spaceship that I think is cool. So we'll go and open up the cockpit and take a look. All right, here you can see I took off the cockpit. And as you can see, there is a co-pilot in there. I added lots of different little control panels and such, and just little different things. Let's take a look from the other side there. And I actually really like how the shaping turned out and how it actually works with the actual windshield. It fits in there really nice, and it looks really nice. And it's just using one of those hinge type pieces you can kind of see in there. It looks really nice to me, and you can see on each side I kind of have some more kind of angled control panels and different control panels. There is kind of a little seat back in there that's really small. It is really tight. I actually did not anticipate putting two figures in there, but when I found out there was room, I was like, oh, I have to. So she's in the purple and her husband's in the green, and then this is where the turret for our doggy goes. And the other thing too is that if you really wanted to, or I wanted to, and I'd had it like that for a little while, is I can just put some tiles there and it doesn't look too bad if you don't want that bulky turret there. I guess just looking at this, do you think it looks better without the turret? Is the turret too much? I don't think it is. I think it adds a lot of character. And speaking of that, let's take a look at that a little closer up here. So I initially switched the guns around a couple times, and I'm really happy with how this turned out. We can imagine that the brighter one is a color change because of how it was replaced recently over the other ones. And this is kind of maybe like a laser venting type unit, and this back here, maybe some communications and radar sensor going on here. And our dog is really just sitting in there real simple. And that is actually a painted dog that I did because it's the color of her actual doggie. And he just sits in there with his advanced bark targeting system. And it worked out pretty good. I got him on a stud and a kind of a divided panel there. And I'm actually surprised how well he fits in there with the cover on. You can kind of see him looking in there. It's kind of hard with all the glare. I got to work on that. That'll be in the making of buying new lights many years down the road. But yeah, I'm overall really happy how this ship turned out. Really want to know what you think. I'm really happy with it. I think my couple things that I don't like are kind of how bulky it is. I wanted it to be a little more sleek. It just kind of turned out this way. I usually build things just as I go and what I like and how it is and stuff like that. These wings are really bulky. They actually bend down when they're on there just because of the weight of them, because it's about 2 bricks plus thick. I tried to make them lighter, it didn't work. This is kind of bulky too in the front. Kind of reminds more of almost like a sports car, but you know, it's just an interesting space type aesthetic. I do like how these turned out. They're really thin. My only problem is this kind of looks plain without any sort of plating or armor or anything on it, but I guess it's kind of protected by all the wings and stuff. And I do like how the engines back here turned out. I like that I added those windshields in my mind. I really like how that looks. Kind of the back wing detail. I like how those wings look. Like I said, maybe going thinner and having less weaponry on the wings might have been a little better. Kind of like the top wings are a little bit better than the bottom wings in my mind. But I like that I can put them in a battle formation, etc. Like how that kind of turned out, even though it's kind of off. Just took a while to get that to work, but I'm really happy with how that ends up looking. So, well, that's the end of my video. If you want to see more of what I do, reviews, parts reviews, custom stuff, my Lego City, random anything else, mostly all Lego, leave a like to this video and subscribe so you promote parts falling off of my stuff. I mean, so I can make more videos and get more excited, because the more people that are excited about it, the more I get excited about it. So, but at the end of the day, I want to thank you for watching, and hopefully you'll jump out and watch some more of my videos. Thanks again.